oceans of grass on the paddocks. There's a paddock there that was at. Just stop for a second. But there's a paddock there, and I'm sorry if it's wind noise here. I'm not wearing a mic today, and there is a wee bit of a north wind blowing, which you'd rather see the back of that north wind. But there's a paddock there that was grazed tightly. It's coming back nicely. These paddocks here were never grazed, and there's a layer of grass on them, as you can see. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but so there's oceans of grass out there, which is great. It's just getting them into it is the problem. So there's the field there that did get slurry. I don't know if you can make it out. There's plenty of Dawkins coming back this year. I noticed that much. Despite it being so damn cold, it still has a lovely dark green colour to it, so it is growing. Again, we have another field here that was grazed, coming on as well. Slow for the time of year, but it is coming on. That's all that matters. It will grow when we get a wee bit of heat. I think we're due a little bit warmer conditions next week, because it might seem warm where I'm out today, but trust me, it's not. These paddocks were all grazed as well. They've got a lovely rich green colour to them. Not as much on them, but they were well slurried. You might remember us doing that. Did we do it on a video? We definitely put it on Instagram anyway. So we're here now in our meadow. It's a little bit yellow in colour, like every field around it, but that's just down to the cold weather. But there is a nice bit of grass on it. About grass measuring the day, I know it'd be interesting to see the difference of what it was like 2 weeks ago. But these are the kind of things that we're going to be working on now over the next few weeks. Here's a corner here into a neighbouring farm, and you can see the posts decided to lay down. I think a lot of these posts do. See that out white thorn is laying over. That's kind of what ivy does, if you can see that with the sun. But ivy makes everything kind of top heavy and puts extra weight on stuff, and then it just fall over. Makes an absolute hand of hedges. But it's there and there's nothing to do about it now. But this is going to have to be cleaned up into this corner. I'll get right into that corner there. I'll get a bit of 7-foot telephone pole, drove straight down there and pull that wire to it and put another post in there, and that'll just tidy it up. But we have a lot of fencing like that to do, just where posts have give way. There was a lot of talk about different posts and what you use. It does get mentioned a lot on our channel and on several channels, and you have something like this here that's in maybe 15 years as an old ESB pole, and it's absolutely fine. The same there. Really, I should have put a cap on top of it. I think I did. I actually did. There's the 2 screws, but it has blown off it. But I'll get something, a plastic bucket or something, and put it back on top of them. But they outlast anything. They're powerful. I don't think you can get them anymore. I think they go off to be recycled now. Everything's disappearing. You can get your hands on nothing now, but they are them Clip-X, is it Clip-X posts or whatever you call them, the steel. I'm out on the fence on them, pardon the pun. I don't know what to make of them, because if you were putting them, yeah, fine, in a straight row, yeah, probably 100%, yes, I can see they're dead on for that. But putting them into a hedge where it's in and out and in and out and in and out, where you're relying on some of the posts that are in to pull, if you get what I mean, it's hard to know. I don't know. If anyone has fenced in a hedge that's not straight with them, tell me how you get on, or maybe send me a photo on Instagram. Let me know how you get on with them. But Cretasol is also gone off the market as well, so you can't get Cretasol posts now anymore, out from maybe in the back alleyway or stuff that's left over. That's been, yeah, I have a good few of them bought before the wear banned, so that'll be fit to use here and there. But after that we'll be back to the same old crack again probably, or be interested in what they come out with next, because them posts, you've heard me say it plenty of times, I'll not say it again. You know exactly what I think of them. I'm after changing all these. Used to be white tape. I used to just use the ordinary white tape. I'm after changing everything out to this kind of elasticy rope. I don't know what it'd be like, but we used to see it on other farms that I worked on, and it seemed to be alright. It's supposed to last a bit longer than the other white stuff, so I threw that on. But I do need to make something here that'll hook on here. rather than using that, but that'll do for now. We get them in the day. Now this would be one of our driest paddocks. It and a field we call the mould drain field over our lane. We call it the mould drain field for obvious reasons. It was mould drained back about 25-30 years ago, and it made a super job out of it. Mould draining is just so underestimated, the power it has to make a great job of land. But you can hear the cows roaring now because Nicole and Sophia and the girls are all up there. I think they're setting up the yard to let the cows out. I'm going to let them out myself because cows can be very excited when they get out for the first time in a while. They have been out already, by the way, but they're in now for the past 3 weeks, so they can be excited, so I won't let my kids anywhere near them when they're like that. Now this pass was put in years ago, and it was put in because we used to put our cows over to our away farm. The summertime where our silage piece cut, we used to actually walk our cows, and my father used to have them coming down this field and out at the bottom for about 2 to 3 months of the year, and they were making a hand of this field, a hand of the lane, a hand of the road. So I put this pass in here quite a few years ago, a long time ago, and then we quit putting them over there. We kind of worked things better here. We changed a few things around, paddock systems, back fencing, simple things like that, and we're able to keep our cows at home without having to go. That's not to say there might become a day where we do, but in the last 6-7 years we haven't had to do that. But it's also great because we can back fence in this field because we have openings there. And that pass, by the way, it's only the width of animals to walk. You wouldn't drive a tractor or anything on it, it's not wide enough. And we left it that way on purpose. We didn't want to be taking up any of our field. We don't need to go down there with a vehicle. It's just purely for cattle to come up and down, keep their feet clean, keep them off the field. But there's gaps the whole way down and drinkers the whole way up along it as well. And it suits because I can let them in here now. They can graze this. And when this is grazed, I can leave this fence up, just put another one up in front of it. They can go out there then the next day and walk up the pass rather than walking on this field. Especially when it's wet, it works great, if you get what I mean. So they're never walking on the same patch a second day. It just works out well. And for me now at the moment, if we can get 5 days in here, that will give the other paddocks time to dry up and soak up, which will work brilliantly for us. So that's kind of the plan I have in my head. Hopefully, weather permitting, it'll work. Right, so that's our fence up. That'll do them for the day. Time to get them out. Happy you're out, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's 49 out there now. There's 2 in the house I'm not letting out, and there's 7 left to calve yet. We will be picking through and culling out some cows as well over the next wee while, but for now I'm glad to see them out. Alright, so I'm just going to show you something here, and a lot of you have noticed it in the background, and there's a reason why I'm going to show you today. I wasn't really planning on showing it at all because I wasn't sure whether I was going to keep it or not. And that is this thing here that you got last year. When we got it last year, probably midsummer, and it is of course a bale trailer. So a fella that has a farm fairly locally contacted me and said, I have a bale trailer that I'm selling. It's actually at an auction at the minute, and it didn't sell, and if you're interested, if you wanted to come down and have a look at it, we could sort out some sort of a price. It might suit your job. It's no oil painting, but it might suit what you want to get your bales from this farm to the home farm. Now a lot of you who watch our channel will know that we store all our bales here in this area here. The way up, this holds a lot of bales, and some down there as well. This area here could easily store, if you wanted to, 300 to 400 bales easily. If you stack them on top of other. If you didn't, it'll hold around about 250 standing up straight, just like the ones that are left just behind you. We take them home then, and we use a lot of them with our cows first, and then we get into our silage pit then around late December, early January. And we always stick to the silage pit around that time of the year because cows are starting to calve then soon enough, and I find the pit silage just much better with cows when they're milking. That's just me, that may be different for you. This was parked about 10 minutes from my door on a tractor, so it kind of was inevitable that I go and look at it, and I did. We agreed a price that was very fair, and I took it home. So winter time came along, I put a few bales onto it, I took them home, I used it probably 2 or 3 trips, and I tried it a few different ways, and I quickly figured out the problem with it is that at home, if you see our yard and see the kind of layout of our yard, space was our biggest problem. No matter what way I parked this trailer, I could not get the bales off. I could get some off it, but I'd have to keep moving it, and I could have made it work. Yes, I could have made it work, but for the amount of extra work I was doing, it just wasn't viable. It just didn't make sense to me. I come over here every single day anyhow to feed my cattle, and now that I have a front loader on the 54 and the bale spike or bale splitter on the back, I take 2 bales home every single day. Sometimes I'm over here twice a day. So I don't see the benefit. I thought it might have been good at the beginning, and a lot of you guys mentioned it, and that's what kind of pushed me towards it. But as time went on using it, I figured it more awkward than anything. So that's the reason why today is his last day on our farm. It's sold, and it's on its way to County Meath. A new farmer has it bought and is doing more or less the same thing, just a longer distance to have to travel, and he has more space obviously, and he said it would do his job brilliantly. So he's on his way the last hour or so, so it'll probably be another hour and a half before he gets here, depending on what tractor he has and what speed he's able to do, but he's on his way to pick it up, and I just thought I'd film it before we let it go. A lot of you guys asked about it. I never showed it because I was unsure whether I was going to keep it from day one. Nothing lost, nothing gained. It was an experience to have. At least I know now that that sort of trailer wouldn't work for us. And just like that, away down the lane it goes. Well, that came much quicker than I would have thought. I thought he wouldn't be here for another hour, but I wasn't keeping track of the time, and I don't have my phone on me. For the first time in a long time I don't have my phone on me, so I had no knowledge of what time it was. But that's the trailer now gone. So I just wanted to cover that, so you know what, it was well worth getting. There was no money lost on it, there was a bit of knowledge gained, and away it goes now on to another farm. At least we know now that it just didn't suit us. I wouldn't hold on to something if it didn't work for me. Away it goes, and away it goes just there now. So the coals is over there, she's letting in the cows there now, and while she's doing that and bringing them in, that'll give me a chance to move the fence. It'll mean I won't have to move it tonight after milking. I'll have it all done now because it'll only take me a couple of minutes to move it. But you can see there they've wet it well. They haven't cleaned it, but they've wet enough of it, and they haven't tramped it, which is even better. So what I'll do now is I'll move this fence down, and I'll get another short fence and I'll bring it down along here just above that drinker, just leaving that they have enough of room to go in and drink water. And then this gate here I'll open, which I'll actually open now. You can close that when you go out in the cold, that gate. So this will hook across here, there's a wee wire there, and tomorrow morning they will come down here and they'll go into this next paddock here, and they won't be fit to get back up onto that. So that means that there's no real tramping done there, everything looks good, and that'll kind of alleviate out any extra poaching being done. And see, the coal is struggling with the heifers. The heifers just don't know the run of the... Just come around this way. Actually go up here and give her a hand to get them out. Because this gate here is down in the middle. There's a wee bit of a corner there which they can run up along the cows and not see where the gate is. And that's just, these are a wee bit awkward when there's heifers in the field. That's it. There we have it. Once they do it once and know where it is, they remember for the next time. One other thing as well, there's a better look at that paddock I showed you earlier on, but you can kind of see it now with the sun, the way it has grown. There's a lovely cover coming on that, and that was grazed. That was the last paddock we grazed about 3 weeks ago when we took them in, maybe 3.5 weeks ago. It got nothing, only slurry, and it was et bare, and you can see there just a nice bit of grass coming back. Patch of Dawkins just there right out in front of me, and there wouldn't usually be Dawkins in this field. So we have a little bit of a problem there we'll have to address later on. But that's what a sprayer's for. I don't think you'd ever get rid of them. I think when you leave them a few years, they'll come back again. They're lay dormant in the ground for so long, and if you plough ground, they reckon it could lay dormant for as much as 100 years, I was told. And then if you have any silage fields, it goes through the cattle into the slurry, you're spreading it back on the ground. They're a torture to get rid of. It used to be really bad here until we bought our first sprayer back about 25 years ago, and we hit them really hard, and that did knock them down, because they do sap up a lot of grass and they do destroy your paddocks over time. But we've only small amounts there, but we will have to keep on top of them because they don't belong making a full comeback if we let them get away with it. It's a couple of days later. I'm back in my favourite spot here, and no leaves yet, but these don't leaf up for a good while. It's usually around the second week in May before you see a nice cover on these. They're starting to bud. These are lime trees, by the way. They're starting to come. I suppose in another 2 weeks you'll notice a lot of cover on them, and it looks like it's going to be summer soon. I say that because myself, like a lot of farmers at the minute, are peed off, or just literally peed off. I think if you're from Ireland, or even the UK, you're going through it as well, you'll understand the amount of water that's falling out of the sky and the temperatures that you're experiencing. And yeah, it's a real struggle. But the last clip you've seen with our cows out, that was filmed about 6 days ago, and our cows, which I thought would be staying out, they came back in after 3 days out. Now, the field was okay. We were managing with the field, with back fencing and all. It seemed to be good. But after 2 days out, the weather just never stopped raining. It never took a break of heavy torrential rain. We did actually put them out the day before yesterday for half a day, out till 12:30, thinking that they would get a little while outside and they wouldn't get a chill or pneumonia. Just out, keep them moving, back into the house as soon as they're full, so that they wouldn't lay down and get any chills from that, because it rained all the time without ever taking a break. But yesterday, we just had to put them in yesterday. Yesterday was pure winter, and it was an awful day. Again, flat out rain the whole day through. So cows, although they did like to go in, and you never like to have to put them in because you listen to them roaring then all day long, they had to go in just for their own safety. So today they're back out again, and hopefully, ground's a mess, but hopefully they can stay out. They have to go out, they can't stay indoors any longer. So it's disheartening, and it can be very hard to be motivated to do anything. You lost all your motivation. You're fed up doing the same thing over and over again and getting nowhere. You feel like you're just being bet down no matter what you do. But Mother Nature doesn't care about that. We have to dig deep. It's part of farming. From Sunday, the news is that the weather is looking better. So we leave it at that. Now this little area here that I'm looking at, which I'm hating to see these things coming back again. This is an area behind our slatted shed over in the other farm. There's just the tip of the slatted shed, just the bin over there in the far distance, and the lime trees that we mentioned in other videos. This little area here is a steep, little dangerous spot that we have fenced off with electric fence. It's only a small little area. From here over to where my finger is kind of pointing, there's a fence goes right around there and just comes straight back down again to this hedge, and that is only over there about 50 yards less. As you can see, there's one hell of a drop down to the neighbouring farm. You never want an animal to ever put a foot here, because wild dangerous, wild dangerous. If an animal ever did fall, it'd just fall and roll the whole way down, and yeah, it wouldn't be a nice ending. But we used to have trees here, and the trees bit by bit to fall because there's such a drop down, and it's nearly straight down the far side. And the reason for that is over there in the corner there used to be a flax mill. And the flax mill that time had to get water to drive the plant, or drive the wheel, and that water was taken from a river that's just over there in the distance. But that water had to come across over there in the distance and come round, and had to be all dug in here. You can see a bit of a bankment there where the winds is on the lower side, but here below me it's much deeper, and that bankment was built to contain the water, so it's kind of like a river 20-30 foot wide. And that carried the water from the river to find the level over to the flax mill itself. I'd say most of that was done by hand. It must have been a no-just task, because the amount of stuff that was moved there, and the way it just goes straight down from here, that was all dug down. There probably was a big bank, and this was probably sloping out to that field. It would have never just went straight down like this, but it must have been an unreal undertaking. But you can see here, this is a hedge that I planted about 2 years ago. Just ordinary native white thorn. And you can see the way it's growing there at the minute. Grew fierce well the whole way across there in front of them trees, the whole way down. Not so good over here, but it's still alive. just a wee bit slower because I suppose they're in the shade maybe. But I'm happy with the way they're done. And another thing about it is I'm going to continue doing it the whole way over there because they help to hold the bank together. The roots of the white thorn will help to hold the bank from any further erosion. But the reason I'm taking you over here is I want to do something with this area. But what could you do with it? I don't like these out winds. We have cleaned this up more times and completely thought we got rid of them winds, but they keep coming back and back and back. They grow up, they fall over. They're not something I particularly like. Now, some people might say plant some trees on it. Well, that's what I was thinking originally, to plant some trees here, but I always wonder, it's so steep. Would that be creating more of a problem in the long term? Another thing then I came across when I was talking to the guy who actually bought the bale trailer. He said he'd had a section of farm that was just a waste section like this, and he planted wildflowers on it, and he said it came out great. You can hear the buzz of the bees and insects, love them, and that's what I thought about doing here, a wildflower section. We have another place just similar to this, maybe not just as big, wouldn't be far off, and I was thinking of doing the same with that, rather than just having it a waste. It'd be nice to have something there that's doing some good. So my question to you is, should we go with trees, or should we go with a wildflower, or should we try something different? Just to get your ideas in it, because I know that a lot of people are interested in this type of stuff and would have a lot more knowledge than I would on it. So I'd love to hear your comments on it, to get your idea what would be the best thing to do and how about to approach it. We should have nearly done it when we had this all cleaned off, because this was a lovely clay bank. I think there is a video on that somewhere, and I went in and I actually sown all this by hand, grass seed, and harrowed it in, and the grass grew lovely on it. It's just the invasive winds that don't go away. And how do you get rid of those? What way do you get rid of those things? That's another thing. How do you get rid of them once and for all? Any tips on that? Or should we get rid of them? Should we leave them there? Am I wrong to get rid of them? I don't think them great. I think they're completely useless, completely close off the whole area altogether. I don't know. Now this area here we're standing was part of it, but we managed, when we were doing the slatted shed, we managed to draw some stuff over here, topsoil, and build this all up, and then move our fence in and just make that area a lot smaller, because every wee bit of grass you can get is always a benefit. So we did manage to clean that, but you wouldn't bring a tractor or anything down here. This is very steep ground. This is dangerous ground, especially with a drop straight into a field below. It's definitely not somewhere you want to be going in with your eyes closed, that's for sure. Next video you're going to see is me over trying to put out fertilizer on our silage ground, and trust me, and I'm sorry by the way, I am a bit hoarse. I have a sore throat this past couple of days, but we did get our silage ground done. We got our quad spreader out, and we'll see how it goes. You'll find out all about that. It was far from simple. It's not one of those videos where you're going to be going round and round in a circle spreading fertilizer. No, it wasn't one of those. It was a lot more complicated than that, but you'll see all that in upcoming videos. I'm going home now to finish up on the Honda 300, and that will be that video finished as of the day, and we'll get that edited and up very soon. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.